He takes a deep breath and walks toward the door, preparing himself for whatever is on the other side. As he opens it, a palace guard stands stiffly, his expression unreadable. "Guard, formally, voice steady, Sheikh Mohammed has ordered that you must leave the palace immediately." Before the night is over, Hamdan feels the finality of those words like a blow to the chest. His father has wasted no time. He has not just disowned him, he has exiled him. The home he grew up in, the place where he was once a prince, is no longer his. His wife, standing behind him, lets out a small gasp. She clutches his arm, her grip trembling. "Wife," voice shaking, "Hamdan. What are they saying?" Hamdan, closing his eyes for a moment, then opening them, his gaze cold and determined. "Exactly what I expected. Baba says that if I do not obey him, I must leave my home." The guard watches him, waiting for a response. Hamdan straightens his shoulders, looking the man directly in the eyes. Hamdan, calm, unwavering, "Fine. I'm leaving." His wife's hand tightens on his arm, panic flaring in her eyes. "Wife, but where will we go?" "Hamdan, the world feels strange without you." "Without you, where will I go?" Hamdan, turning to her, cupping her face with both hands, voice full of love and certainty. "Wherever we go, we will be together. As long as you are with me, that is home. I can never be separated from you." Tears spill down her cheeks, but she nods, trusting him completely. He presses a soft kiss to her forehead, silently promising her that no matter what comes next, he will protect her. He turns back to the guard. "Hamdan, firmly, we will leave before nightfall." The guard bows slightly and steps back. As Hamdan shuts the door, he exhales slowly, knowing that this is only the beginning. He may have lost his father, his title, his place in the world, but he still has his love. And for her, he is ready to start over, no matter what challenges come next. Because no matter what happens, one truth remains: Hamdan loves her too much to ever let her go. The unspoken battle. The palace corridors are silent, but inside Hamdan's private chamber, a storm is brewing. His wife stands in the center of the room, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, her face flushed with anger and hurt. Hamdan watches her, his heart sinking, knowing that this moment was inevitable. Wife voice sharp, eyes burning with emotion. "Hamdan, tell me something. When your father asked you to divorce me, why didn't you say anything? Why did you just stand there and listen?" Hamdan exhales slowly, rubbing his temples. He knew she would ask this, but the answer isn't simple. He steps closer, but she takes a step back, her eyes flashing with pain. Hamdan carefully, voice calm but heavy, "I needed to hear him out. I needed to understand what I was fighting against." Wife scoffing, shaking her head, "Understand? Hamdan, do you even realize how I felt? Your father was commanding you to destroy our marriage, and you just stood there in silence. Not once did you speak up for me, not once did you say, 'No, Baba, I won't do this.' I was waiting, Hamdan. I was waiting for you to fight for me in that moment." Her voice cracks, and Hamdan's chest tightens. He steps forward again, this time gently holding her hands, but she pulls away, turning her back to him. Hamdan softer. Trying to reach her, "You think I didn't want to? You think it wasn't tearing me apart inside? I was standing in front of the man who raised me, the man I have obeyed my whole life. And in that moment, I realized that if I spoke even one word of defiance, I would lose everything. But I was never going to leave you. I just needed to choose my words carefully, to make sure I did not lose you in a moment of blind rage." Wife turning around, her voice full of hurt. "And what about me, Hamdan? I wasn't thinking about strategy or careful words, I was thinking about my husband standing in silence. While his father ordered him to throw me away." Hamdan's hands curl into fists at his sides, frustration flickering in his eyes. He understands her pain, but he needs her to see his side too. Hamdan firmly, but not angrily, "You were not the only one hurting. I was fighting a battle you couldn't see. If I had reacted with anger, if I had shouted at him in that moment, he would have had me dragged out of that room before I could even explain myself. I needed to stay calm. I needed to buy time, to think, to understand how far he was willing to go. His wife stares at him, her breathing uneven. He steps closer, lowering his voice, his eyes locked onto hers, Hamdan gently, but with conviction. But tell me something. Did I divorce you? She swallows hard, her lips parting slightly, but no words come out. Hamdan tilts his head, pressing further. Hamdan soft, yet unyielding. Did I obey him? Did I let you go? Tears well in her eyes, and she looks away, crossing her arms tightly again. Her anger is still there, but now it is mixed with something else, understanding. He reaches for her hand again, this time holding it firmly when she tries to pull away. Hamdan voice full of love, I will always fight for you. Even if I don't fight the way you expect me to. But my love for you is not in words, it's in my actions. And my actions speak for themselves. I chose you. I lost everything for you. If I had to do it again, I would. 100 times over, she looks up at him, her lips trembling. For a long moment, she just stares at him, trying to hold on to her anger, trying to resist the undeniable truth in his words. But finally, she exhales shakily, her shoulders dropping as the fight drains out of her. Hamdan reaches up, wiping a tear from her cheek with his thumb. His voice is barely above a whisper now. Hamdan, I love you too much to ever let you go. You know that, don't you? She closes her eyes for a moment, then nods, just once. Hamdan exhales in relief, pulling her into his arms. She doesn't resist this time. She melts against his chest, her arms slipping around his waist as she clings to him, breathing in his warmth. The fight is over. But the war is just beginning, a love tested by silence. The weight of everything crashes down on her. His wife steps back from his embrace, her body shaking with rage and heartbreak. Hamdan watches helplessly as her chest rises and falls with heavy, uneven breaths. Her face is streaked with tears, but her eyes are burning with fury, wife voice trembling with anger and pain. No, Hamdan. You don't get to say these things and make everything right. You don't get to tell me you love me after what you did, or rather, after what you didn't do. Hamdan's jaw tightens. He has seen her upset before, but never like this. Never with so much fire, so much disappointment. He takes a slow step toward her, but she shakes her head violently, stumbling back as fresh tears spill down her cheeks, wife crying, voice breaking. You let him humiliate me, Hamdan. You let him treat me like I was nothing. And you stood there. Just stood there while he ordered you to throw me away. Hamdan softly, but firmly, I did not throw you away. Wife sobbing, shaking her head, you might as well have. Do you know how much it hurt? Do you know what it felt like to see the man I love, the man who promised to protect me, say nothing? She covers her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking with deep, uncontrollable sobs. Hamdan's heart clenches painfully. He takes another step forward, his voice low, filled with regret. Hamdan guilt-ridden, his voice raw. I know I hurt you. But I swear, I was not silent because I did not care. I was silent because I was thinking, because I needed to find a way to fight without making things worse. She lets out a bitter, shaky laugh, dropping her hands from her face. Her eyes glisten with unshed tears as she looks at him, pain etched into every feature.